Building something modern and unique can be a battle at the best of times. And when it's played out in a heritage area, well, too much compromise can be the enemy.
It is our dream house, so we've got to push hard. Oh my God.
But it's very easy to get trapped in the middle of opposing forces.
We never wanted to compromise.
There was 20 grand difference that we don't have.
And then there's dreams versus reality.
It's really sort of hit us hard. We can't afford to give away our money at the moment. Once it's up, it would be impossible to change.
Yeah.
So how do you stand out and fit in at the same time? And what exactly does an architectural contradiction look like? The Bastone family are not afraid of taking risks. In fact, they seem to thrive on them.
Our house is going to be the funnest house in the whole entire world.
2.5 years ago, Laurie, an interior designer, and Morgan, a town planner, took a calculated risk and bought this 3-bedroom house in Melbourne's Elstonwick for $1.15 million. This suburb is largely covered by heritage overlay, which means most of the period houses here fall under strict council conditions. Their gamble was that they wanted to knock theirs down.
Any client who comes to me with a query of a property and a heritage overlay, I tell them straight out, forget it, move on, find something else. It complicates the whole process. You're going to have to nail the design to be able to persuade the council to get full demolition.
And for good reason. Just 9 k's from the city, Elstonwick is not only a bustling village of cafes and shops, it's home to some of Melbourne's most gracious Edwardian homes. Their design has to acknowledge the Edwardian era and be approved by council before a brick can be touched.
Oh, wow, that looks amazing.
Designing something new that could fit in with the old led them to one of Australia's edgiest architects, Andrew Maynard, renowned for many things, including his radical take on heritage properties.
I love the shingles, the texture. It's already turning grey. It looks beautiful.
The design brief to Andrew was to pull as many of the Edwardian characteristics as he could into a contemporary house.
We needed someone who was very good at designing on a small site, and Andrew Maynard was definitely skilled in that area. And he also had designs that were different. You don't see them every day.
We wanted something bold, creative, something
beautiful.
Beautiful.
A unique design, combined with Laurie and Morgan's wish list, saw their $1.6 million budget blow out to $2.2.
I mean, it would have been great if we could add shingles on the roof, but comes a time when budget wins over and it's
Evolved.
Working out what to lose to get it back to around 1.6 was a torturous process and came at a cost.
We changed architects with about 10% of the working drawing process to go. I think the dynamics at the very end was just a mismatch of what we could afford and what Andrew's design was, and we had to move on.
Big jump. Oh, yeah.
Rather than starting from scratch, Laurie and Morgan took their almost finished plans and charged on. A brave move with such a detailed design. Not that they're phased.
We've definitely designed this house for our kids and their friends and some of our friends. So we've got a pool, which I think everyone wanted to delete to save money, but we fought for it. And really, it's a fun design that I think the kids are just going to love and be proud of.
We want to be the cool parents in the street.
We do want to be the cool parents on the street.
We want the kids to come to us. You go, matey.
Having met the heritage requirements of the council, Laurie and Morgan could finally start.
Very excited to see half the house has been demolished already.
To get to a point where we can design our own home being the type of people we are and being in the professions that we are, it's just an amazing opportunity.
It is. We're very blessed.
And we can't wait until we start the process in terms of building.
What an interesting site you've got here.
Oh, we're very excited. It's been a long journey to get to this point.
So, Laurie, what was your brief to the architect?
We wanted to create a home that was unique for our family. We love to entertain, so we wanted a house that would be quite open in the sense that we could have people around the island bench. Morgan loves to cook. We would also like zones that if we had a whole heap of kids, they could go upstairs and entertain themselves while the adults stayed down.
Yep. Why has it taken 2.5 years just to get to this point?
Budget was huge. I think we came in with quite a grand idea that we could build up to 4 stories, which we soon realised we couldn't afford. We couldn't afford to do a basement, and we couldn't afford to go up that high.
So and from there, we were backpedaling with the architect and the design, the house that we wanted,
Had to go back
the
to
size.
basics again. Yeah,
yes, we
right.
did, and it was
A compromise.
It was like 2 steps forwards and then 1 step back, and it just took a long time to get the building formed to a point where the budget fit the building.
And is there any elements in the house that are quirky or a bit different?
Yes, well, we have got a trapeze net upstairs.
What's that?
A trapeze net is one of Andrew Maynard's signature design features that he puts into houses. It's going to be fun.
Really cool.
The kids are very excited.
You two are going to be struggling to keep off it, I can see. The house is positioned on a tight 350 square metre angular block, with a car stacker being installed to provide off-street parking for 2 cars. To create space and capture the sun, the 260 square metre house is made up of 5 staggered pavilions, which will step back from the front boundary. The first pavilion opens with a surprise, the kitchen front and centre, while tucked in behind will be an elaborate butler's pantry and laundry. The middle pavilion is dedicated to the living areas, with the master bedroom nestled in at the back by the plunge pool. A freestanding feature staircase leads to the upstairs, and here it's all about the kids. 2 bedrooms, each with their own ensuite and a rumpus room. The area is defined by a suspended net, so the kids can hang out above the parents below. Slate shingles were going to be used on the steep pitched roof and walls, but that's been substituted for more affordable corrugated iron. This sits alongside a spotted gum timber and reclaimed brick facade, which gives a nod to Edwardian terraces. There's a lot of steel here.
There is a lot of steel. I think a lot of it has to do with that car stacker that we had to put in as part of the planning requirement.
So it's a double one over the top?
Yes, correct.
Interesting.
Exactly. So we had to have that so that we can get 2 cars off street, which was tricky.
You could have just had 1 car behind the other, though, surely.
We could have, but given, again, the size of the site, we needed to be really smart about how we made the most of it.
So you've got a fixed contract.
Yep.
You know it's going to take 14 months. You've got a contingency sum set aside for unforeseens.
Not really. It's gone on all the fees. So we're both trying to work as hard as we can in the next 14 months to give us that buffer.
Other than working damn hard, is there any other way you can get some more cash if you needed to do things towards the end?
Uber.
Uber?
I can be an Uber driver.
You know, I get it. Laurie and Morgan have invested in a design process, and part of that is deciding where you spend the dollars. I mean, this house, for instance, has invested in this beautiful timber fretwork and a wonderful terracotta roof. But if you were to strip all that detail off this building, well, you'd end up with a box. So when Laurie and Morgan start trading off important design features, like their shingles for a car stack and a plunge pool, well, it's a delicate dance they're doing. And I think they should tread carefully. Laurie and Morgan have worked hard for their chance to create a one-off home, and there's more hard work to come. In order to save an estimated $50,000, they're not employing a project manager. Stepping into those boots is Laurie, and it could be a steep learning curve.
Yes, I've never walked on steel on high.
As well as project managing, Laurie still has her own business to run and the kids to look after.
All right, eat up quick.
I'm feeling
You're finished, good boy.
On top of all that, they've just found out they need to move out of their rental, which is just around the corner from the building site.
I must admit, finding out that we have to vacate potentially within the next month has really sort of hit us hard. It's really hard in this area to get a rental and one that we can afford. They're really expensive and we can't afford to give away our money at the moment.
On a brighter note, the building is going up quickly. The reclaimed bricks already showing early signs of the necessary heritage charm.
So we're using a recycled second-hand red. They're not the best face brick you can choose to lay, but for look-wise, finished product, they're probably the most striking with the old paintwork on the product and the nice traditional pressed red finish.
The bricks look amazing. I'm
Yeah,
really
they're really
happy.
cool.
We've got the colour variation.
Yep. So there's a bit of paint on some.
I love
See on that side's red. So we mix and match it a little bit to get an even spread throughout the wall. So yeah, if you like the paint, we can definitely get more of that in there.
Yeah, I think it just softens that red.
Hi guys, lots of
Peter.
progress.
Oh, it's good to see you.
Heaps of progress.
Hi, Peter. How are you?
Good, good. Look at all this.
Yeah, it's coming along
It's
really,
zooming
really quickly.
along.
Oh,
It's been, what, 3 weeks or so?
3 weeks.
And it's gone from just, you know, steel reinforcement on the ground, and you actually can start to see the building now.
I know.
it's amazing. It just gives us the ability to really gauge what we're going to live in.
Yeah, you can start to see it. The house has been designed to be playful, and a key element will be the suspended trapeze or cargo net. When you walk into this room,
Yep.
you're immediately going to look up and see kids swinging around in this cargo net.
And hopefully Morgan.
Kids are adults.
Cool. The net will sit in the void above the dining room, and it's a bold design choice.
I guess it's one of those features that will someone really see the difference?
I think they all add up.
And is it worth doing that for the extra money? But
I reckon it's the details that are really important.
That's what I think.
And if you change too many of those details, you know, will you end up with the original concept, or is it something else?
no, it's a really good question. It's absolutely something that we're very mindful of, not losing that integrity.
Yes. Laurie and Morgan want to build something unique. And while their 1.6 million budget's healthy, it's as good as spent, with zero fat for any surprises. So how do you feel about spending extra money at this stage?
It's scary. No, it's really scary. But things evolve and we're working on a sculpture at the moment for the front garden. Everything's just adding up.
I thought this was going to be a lean project, you know, watch the budget, you're not buying sculptures.
So that was
It's 5,000.
I thought you were trying to watch your budget.
Yes, but we want it to look good at the end. So there's a fine line. Anything we've got to do now with foundations, and it needs footings, it needs engineering, we need to talk about it and have these discussions early on.
Nothing's more certain than budget increases on a complex project. And they're starting right about now.
We're working really hard to ensure that that the car parking stacker is as good as we can get it. The original budget for the car parking stacker was $55,000. It was $75 2 years later. So that was a rude shock to both Laurie and I. That was 20 grand difference that we don't have.
Okay, guys, come and have a snack. Quick, we got to get packing.
After a turbulent 2.5 years, Laurie and Morgan finally have their Elstonwick dream underway. But 3 months in, the turmoil is far from over.
Juggling a lot at the moment. Work has increased tenfold. Having to move house, which was a surprise. Juggling the kids. We've got on-site meetings with the builders. I was an hour late this week just because it's been one of those weeks where I'm feeling stressed and frazzled and pushed to breaking point. I can't keep working till 2:30 a.m. I feel like I'm not really there for the kids at the moment, let alone Morgan, let alone the build. So definitely feeling stressed.
All right, come on, guys. Let's go.
The roof and external cladding are adding to the stress. The original shingles and their installation would have cost around $250,000. If they replace them with a more economical option, corrugated iron, they can keep their plunge pool and a car stacker. But now they're worried the house could end up looking like a glorified shed, and they're seeking alternatives.
Now, the standing seam is a very contemporary look.
Made from a roll of coloured steel, the standing seam replaces corrugated curves with long, clean, straight lines with no visible fixings.
It makes it even more
Sharp.
It's an upside-down L.
I love that.
A new-to-market and more expensive matte finish means they have an additional choice to consider.
I think we've got to be really careful because this comes out of our pocket. It's outside the fixed agreement with the builders.
My gut feel says we need to at least get it up to this with the pressed profile. But if we could afford, I'd love to have the matte finish.
This is probably the biggest variation we're going to have.
But it's our facade.
It is, but I'm still mindful of not pushing us where we feel really uncomfortable about moving forwards.
I know, but it's not something we can change. Once it's up, it would be
Yeah.
impossible to change.
Yeah.
If we do decide to go ahead, we're probably looking in and around the $30,000 mark. And that's a lot. That's a huge amount of money at this late stage to commit. So it means going back to the banks or trying to self-fund it. Yeah, it'll be tough, but we've got to make the call and we don't want to delay the guys on site. So we need to wait on the pricing and then make that final call within the next couple of days.
Laurie and Morgan are caught in a tug-of-war between budget and beauty, but also the now or the never.
I'm nervous about our roof profile. We've got the corrugated iron.
Yeah.
That's very classic. I'm worried about seeing all of those fixtures, all those screw holes. Roughly, is it every...
You're going to look at it nearly every second. So,
Every second.
Yeah. The standing seam's a lot nicer. Just come from a place that we've done it on. It's, yeah. The cost is obviously a factor.
Why is there such a jump in the cost?
One, you have to apply the whole, instead of that, we got to apply the whole cladding to start with.
So that'll be an extra?
Yeah. To me, it'd look a lot more modern. Yeah. So.
I think we've compromised too much by going to the corrugated. Even though we did that initially to get the finance through and to save some money, Morgan and I are really concerned that...
Yeah, I don't think you'll regret it. If you can find the money, yeah, it's going to look a lot nicer, yeah.
They're jamming a lot of house into a small block. 1.6 million is a decent budget, but if the money runs out, the work stops.
Look, I'm really worried about the fact that we don't have a contingency. There's not much I can do in terms of bringing in more money to support the build. My work is a fixed salary, so it really is dependent on Laurie to cover any additional costs. She's having to work all hours of the night. She's going to bed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and she's doing that 7 days a week. It's you know, I look at her and I feel for her. But, you know, that's all I can do, really, is to give her the support and the love that she needs.
Laurie and Morgan's tenacity is impressive. They could have simplified things and de-scoped, but they're committed to the finer details.
They want to finish the concrete floor exactly flush with that. That's the profile of the stack of doors here.
That means precision and extreme care are required.
If it chips out, because it's a polished slab, we just don't want that to happen. That's why I'm doing it. Then I can't blame anyone else for doing it wrong.
The cuts are being made 10 cautious millimetres at a time. Then it's all down to Murray's delicate touch. This is a process that needs to be repeated for each door.
Yeah, perfect. Little doubt.
From the outset, Laurie and Morgan have said they want to build a house that makes a statement and is fun. Son Huey loves paper planes, and in a rather curious design decision, they plan to install a 3-metre statue of one as a garden feature, and have commissioned a metal artist to work up a design.
So I had a play, because I wanted to show you something.
Wow. Oh, that's really cool.
But it holds together really well.
Feels strong.
Yeah, yeah, and
It's incredible.
yeah, I think it could work.
I love the fact that it looks like paper almost, the way that
Yeah.
you've been able to fold that and have movement.
Yep.
And in terms of fixing it into the ground, have you got your head around how we're going to do that?
Because of the angle it's coming in, traditionally we'd have to put a support beam here, which visually we want it looking like it's just crashed into the ground. So it's hiding something in here, which is a bit difficult because, as you can see, we can see through it at every angle. I'm sure there's a way. Okay. Where there's a will, there's a way. We'll work it out.
This is definitely an extra. Our landscaping is yet to be priced, so I'm hoping Helen can come to some sort of a design that fits into our budget.
With a fixed price contract in place, Laurie and Morgan know what they've agreed to. But with every variation they make comes a cost. They need to find more money or they'll eat into the budget set aside for the landscaping and the interior fit-out.
I definitely want to go from corrugated to the standing seam. What's your gut feel? Is there any way we can make it happen?
If they can progressively invoice us, then we might be able to find the money that we need over the next 3-4 months. I can easily see this exceeding 100K very quickly, and we don't have it. So it's a matter of making this budget work harder. It's a matter of making the builder work harder for us. And in part, it's a matter of Laurie and I being very careful about how we budget the next 6 to 8 months.
Where's your roof?
Delay. Typical building.
I expected to see it done by now.
I know, but I have got a really cool sample to show you.
So this is what you've decided on?
We've locked it in, so it was a bit of a big hit to the back pocket, but I think it's going to look stunning.
So a big decision for you then?
It was.
Because of more money?
Yeah, it was like $35,000 upgrade. From what we
Upgrade
had.
$35,000?
From what we had initially, which was a corrugated. But look at it, it's beautiful. I'm very
You can't
excited.
do this all the time, though.
No, I can't.
You have no money left. You two are lost causes. I understand aesthetics are important, but it's a lot of pressure taking on more financial stress. How are you sleeping?
Not very well.
Really?
I think I went to bed at 12:31 last night.
Oh, really?
And the kids are up early, we've got to get them to school.
Right, so it's worry.
It is. Yeah, no, it's full on. I see our bank balance sort of drop and then it bubbles up and then it drops. And sometimes there's not a lot in there and I'm sort of like...
An outgoing tide. Mm.
Yeah, so it's juggling.
So how are you feeling about the whole running of the project, no?
Look, I think the builders are moving really quickly, which is wonderful. There's not a day where there's not someone on site, so that gives us a lot of confidence. Where it's been challenging is the budget, which I know is really common, but there's been a number of items, particularly outside, that I've missed. I didn't know to look for, I didn't know to question the builder, and I think, yeah, we're going to be hit with a couple of large variations.
Yeah, I mean, they're early decisions.
Correct.
Are they coming home to roost?
Well, look, it's a really small site and some of these things we've got to do now, otherwise we'll never be able to do it, or it'll cost 10 times more. So it is our dream house, so we've got to push hard and try and get the bulk of it done, and then if we don't finish internally, then that's another story.
So it's a race against
the budget.
Not against time.
No.
A race against, get as much as you can done with the money you've got.
Correct.
So how much over are you?
We're coming up to 100, thereabouts, by the time we do the
Is
landscaping.
that hard for you to say? I
Yes.
suspect it is.
It is, it's scary.
You know, I really am impressed the way this little house is coming together. From the wonderful internal spaces to this facade, which is kind of stepped and layering back and starting to talk to its heritage neighbours. But we're only halfway through and there's some big ticket items which are still really unresolved, like the in-ground pool, the underground car stacker, and don't forget this 3-metre high sculpture sitting right in their front yard, which surely has to be an optional extra. And they tell me they're worried about cost. All this scaffolding needs to be removed before the pool and car stacker can go in. But that can only happen when the roof and wall cladding are on and the spotted gum fixed. 2 jobs requiring skillful precision.
We go in between 2 points as well on the angle, and they both want to finish flush with like no gap, if you like. So to get that, if we're working to the millimetre, if not the half millimetre.
The timber is being laid on an angle to follow the gabled roof line. An interesting take on a heritage tradition. Each piece is fixed in place before cutting the next, so it all fits snugly.
That one's going to be a bit of a bastard to get in, or is it not too bad? Oh, sweet. One over there was.
The joins need to be perfect, so the boys are up and down the ladder all day getting a workout while finessing the angles.
As long as it looks good in the end, we're obviously conscious we don't want to take too much time over it, but we try and work as fast as we can to get the best result. Dan loves jigsaw puzzles, spends most of his weekends doing them, don't you?
Yeah, I love a good jigsaw puzzle, yeah.
And the jigsaw is coming together. The standing seam roofing and exterior cladding are also going on.
We'll make sure that we're running square again. There's a lot of different size sheets. Everything's custom ordered, so anything that happens on the walls is corresponding to the roof.
Like the spotted gum, all the lines and joins have to be perfect.
These seams need to line up exactly to the external sections of the windows, so we have a consistent line that travels over each wall of the house. Beautiful.
It was an expensive decision to run with the standing seam. I just hope Laurie and Morgan think it's worth it.
Looking wonderful. Hey, Murray, it looks amazing.
Everyone's starting to comment, you know, they look through the gate and go, yeah, that's nice, that's nice.
It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, everyone's impressed with the matte finish. Yeah, it looks really nice.
I love that we've gone for the matte finish. I think it's beautiful. Worth that extra money?
Yeah. worth the change, yeah.
It's been obviously nerve-wracking because when you start chopping and changing, you can affect the overall integrity, but no, I think it's looking beautiful.
There's a flurry of large-scale operations underway, and the schedule's tight, with the car stacker, pool and floating staircase still to be installed. All 3 are heavily engineered, and all need to go in without a hitch. Otherwise, there'll be a knock-on effect leading to big delays.
It's sort of weird because see, he's gone 450 from there to there anyway, but
it's not in the centre.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not in the centre. And
this pipe is too much on the right, like 35 mil too much on the right, so...
That little piece of steel is what the floating staircase gets welded to, and it has to support a lot of weight.
But we're just waiting for a call back just to make sure if we move it a little bit, it's still structurally sound.
In the heritage suburb of Elstonwick, it's the small things that can make a difference. The staircase will be welded to a steel plate, which is out of alignment by just 30 mils. After a couple of anxious phone calls and some gnashing of teeth, the engineers call for some extra steel before giving the go-ahead to weld it on.
Yeah, as long as you come down from the steel, I'm happy with that, yeah.
Avoiding delays at the later stages of construction is important, not just for the stairs, but for the other heavily engineered elements that are yet to go in. Big decisions that Laurie and Morgan made in the early design stages are about to become a reality. Those decisions have come at a cost, not just to their $1.6 million budget, but also to the look of their house.
There were definitely a number of elements that we did have to scale back. The cargo netting was one that we never wanted to give up on. Price point was around sort of $5,000 to $10,000 in the budget. So we thought, you know what, it's not out of the question, and for the impact and for the kids growing up and having this amazing space to lay on, we really wanted to keep it. So we never wanted to compromise.
The cargo net is one of the most unusual design features in the house. It is, in essence, a see-through floor that sits above the dining table. It's a playful element that requires serious engineering and serious planning.
The net itself is a very heavy-duty industrial net that's principally designed as a walk-on net for construction, mainly of roofing. It's a very well-scrutinised engineering exercise to do a net that's used for this purpose. Well, that's your netting.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's not the actual net, but
It's
that's how it
soft.
works. Yeah, it's very soft.
Wow.
And it's very comfortable to lie on.
Oh, wonderful.
But
I
it's
was
also
nervous about how scratchy it might have felt.
There's knotted netting and knitted netting. This netting, it's a
love
soft
this.
knitted netting.
It's so soft.
Yeah, because if it was a net like this...
Yes. It's not going to feel very nice.
Exactly. You're not going to want to lie on that.
No.
And we can get very strong nets made out of that material.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't have the comfort that something like that has. So your situation is very unusual. We've really only done a few of them. We've kind of developed the technique to suit.
Amazing.
The netting itself is ideal because it's super strong.
Yeah.
It is a complex project, there's no doubt about it. Probably one of the most complex things we do.
There are plenty of finishing touches and decisions Laurie still needs to make, including questions over the viability of the paper plane sculpture. They're looking at spending $5 grand, so it has to be right.
We're hoping when we do the press that it's a really clean, crisp line. If it's still this curve, which we had a little model, a prototype, it's a deal breaker. I know Morgan wants a really clean, crisp line. That's, yeah, very important.
Can you show me the first fold on the wing pencil?
So the first fold is on your right here?
Yep.
It's been purely conceptual for the better part of 6 months, but today, it's crunch time.
A little bit concerned about the folds because of the perforation and how we're going to achieve a crisp fold with all these little circles, but it's trial and error. If this doesn't work out today, it's back to the drawing board. This is purely experimental. We'll see how we go today.
The worry is both structural and aesthetic. The folds need to create enough strength for the sculpture to be rigid and look sharp.
Wow. It's a very clean line. I think Morgan will be happy. Looks like a paper fold. Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
I love it. Incredible.
I love how you can see through it and the dots and with the lights on it just...
The dimension.
Yeah, it gives you
Beautiful.
a different dimension, yeah.
Wow. That's massive. Oh, God. It just looks so much bigger now because on the table it looks small. I'm thinking we should have gone bigger, but it's massive.
The hard part now is to get it into the garden and hold it in that position that you'd want. Yeah.
Maybe not the most obvious choice, but then this tiny front yard was never going to be much of a cricket pitch. Laurie and Morgan are cramming a lot into their tight 350 square metre block. Off-street parking for 2 cars is a council requirement, so they're putting in the ultimate space saver, a car stacker.
I think it's a really big moment. We're 6 weeks down now until we move in, so it's not long, and this is really the last big piece going in.
So it's really exciting. I mean, it's the final part of the whole jigsaw. It's really the tail end of something that's taken so long for us to get to this point, and it's it's quite emotional to see it go in.
The car stacker and the pit cost around $120,000. If it doesn't fit, they're looking at months of delays.
So the system has been designed and manufactured in Germany to very strict tolerances, and because of that engineering, we can't do any local modification to the system to jeopardise that structural integrity.
The pit has been built and it is the size that it is. The car stack has been ordered to a certain size, so those two need to match up perfectly.
Can you push it? We have very tight tolerances of maybe 5 to 10 mil around the perimeter to work with. So fingers crossed, everything works okay.
Holding off installing the car stacker has been a necessary risk. With the driveway the main point of access to the site, any earlier would have ground all other work to a halt. It's a fascinating piece of kit.
It's a toy.
it's a big kid's toy going in your front yard. It has that kind of magnetic charm. You know, how could that possibly be in my front yard?
Yeah, it's a bit like Batman, the Batman cave.
It is, isn't it?
I think it's the way of the future. Like, this land is so expensive now, and we could only afford the block that we have. And it's so tight, it was the only way to really get 2 car parking spaces on the site.
And is it because it's so heavily engineered, because it's got to carry the slab?
The load.
Yeah, it does. I think the specifications are that the columns are more heavier than the ones that they put into multi-unit developments, because this pit doesn't have the support or the structures to bolt the pillars to.
Oh, so it's freestanding?
They've got to stand on their own right, from what I understand.
OK. I hope you've got a good car to put in there. It's a bit
We can't afford it.
I can just see an old beat-up Volkswagen coming in and dropping down.
It might be a push bike.
These columns weigh around 600 kilograms, and they need to be manhandled into place. So the process involves standing the 4 columns up in the corners of this car pit and then bracing them in place with this horizontal element. That's the first of a number of horizontal members which will stop these columns from falling over. And so far, this orange bit looks like it fits.
Too much of an angle.
Of course, it's always possible that one could speak too soon.
Okay, Jay, you need to lift your end of the bar.
The steel beam at the other end of the car stacker is proving particularly stubborn. There's only a couple of millimetres in it, but that's all it takes to become problematic.
It doesn't fit.
Okay, at the moment we're having an issue with getting this beam over the leg that it's meant to bolt to.
It's got to fit over it like a sock. At the moment, it's not. You can't do that when it's in the hole.
There's like a millimetre or 2 that's...
But you could assemble it off centre in the middle of your pit and then swing them back together.
Looks like we're going to have to do that. It's just depends on the lift capability of the crane.
Everyone loves expert help from the sidelines. Not that it's of any use. Instead, after a bit of lateral thinking, they've decided to roll the steel beam on from above.
Okay, rotate the bottom out. Yep.
Oh, my God.
Okay, push yours down and rotate it.
Couple of grey hairs.
Right. Now that they're in, we've got a lot of room to make it work nicely, and it makes our job a lot easier.
And just like that, the reputation of precision German engineering remains intact. It's a costly but clever way to free up precious space. And like their site, Laurie and Morgan are also asking a lot of their house. Time will tell if the choices they've made, the things that they've held on to, have been worth fighting for.
It's a massive milestone, but at the same time, we're all feeling, you know, it's just wearing us thin, I think. And it's just sort of one of many. Now we've got to head inside and start the internals.
This heritage-rich suburb of Elstonwick seems an unlikely place to build a contemporary home. Edwardian character is everywhere. Laurie and Morgan knew they had to design a house that acknowledged the beauty of their heritage neighbours. Drawings became a building, and after 11 months, I can't wait to see how their modern home fits within these historic surroundings.
Wow, look at that. That is stunning. The detailing on it is exquisite, and the craft in this building is totally commendable. With the recycled brickwork, the spotted gum cladding on the facade, and the standing seam metal, which I think actually works better than corrugated iron because it creates this almost seam-like detail running the length of the building. This is highly tailored. In fact, this building does more than accommodate the family, it gives back to the neighbourhood. We've got a house.
Dude, welcome.
Okay, good to see you.
Hi, Peter.
Morgan. Look at this.
We're in.
Awesome, awesome.
We're in, okay.
Look, and you've got your sculpture as well.
She's in.
Wow, that's so, it's so unusual to see something like that. I mean, most people just put a tree there.
They would.
And you've gone, do you know what? We're going to put something we want in there.
Yeah.
So, well done.
Thank you.
Now, tell me about the whole composition here. What's the response been?
It was funny, when we first moved in, I had an elderly guy come across and tap me on the shoulder and he said, "Is this your place?" And I said, "Yes, this is my place, very proud." And he's gone to me, "It's very different." And then he walked off.
So you don't know what they think out there.
But then I've had other people drop in and just neighbours. They've been watching the house go up from ground up, and just the response has been amazing. It's been really touching to feel as if the neighbourhood's accepted it.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're going to show me around?
Yes, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They've packed a lot of house into a compact block.
Come on in.
All right. This is beautiful.
This is it.
Hey.
The heart of the home.
Straight into the kitchen.
Yes.
How nice is that?
We love that.
The heart of the house, the kitchen.
Intimate.
It is. It is. And the kids spend so much time here. If we're prepping or cooking, everyone's sort of around this one section.
It's not a very big kitchen. That's because behind it is the butler's pantry, where Morgan can prep meals and make as much mess as he likes.
I've got to tell you, I'm not a butler pantry sort of believer.
Morgan's the cook of our home and he takes over every surface.
For me, all my appliances are out there on shelves. I don't have to go through cupboards looking for something. I am a very messy chef.
Mess is part of our life, you know. We make it and we clean it up. Does that work for you, having a separation of functions like that?
A very good chef can overcome that, Peter.
Every square metre of this house is purpose-built and working hard. The living areas are light-filled with a sense of space that contradicts its compact and enclosed nature. Beyond the lounge, in the back corner of the house, Laurie and Morgan's ensuite and bedroom, with waterfront views to the plunge pool and the courtyard beyond.
It doesn't look to me like you've had to sacrifice much.
We did rip out some beautiful architectural detail, but we had to weigh up the priorities.
We made some sacrifices like the slate roof, but we didn't lose the integrity of the architecture.
No.
And it has allowed us to do other things inside the house that make it so special.
One of those special features is something I'm dying to see, but maybe not so keen to try. The cargo net is a spectacular way of connecting the kids' kingdom upstairs with the living areas below.
This looks totally mad, absolutely mad. It's just great to see something like this, which is improbable in a house.
Yes.
So how do you use this thing? Do you just kind of Spider-Man your way in? I'm a little bit...
Go slow.
Oh, look, it gives.
A lot of give.
Oh, goodness me. OK. You've got to get used to the kind of flexible nature of it.
Now lounge.
It feels
just hang.
totally unsafe. It's better when you don't look down.
Come on, relax.
It's actually... I'm doing my best.
It's OK to relax.
I think I'll just lean back. There we are. It's more of a hammock experience.
Come on, you can do better than that.
Come on.
No,
You're supposed to lounge into it.
Oh, are you? Oh, I see. OK. You make yourself at home.
That's how you do it. Come on. Be a kid again. Be a kid.
I'm working on it, all right. Oh, that's better, isn't it?
It's beautiful. I love coming up here. It's, you know, you can see outside. You can still converse with people down.
Through your legs. Hello down there.
No, but it's a bit of fun, you know. We always wanted the house to have a fun element to it.
Yeah.
This is just another piece that adds to that.
So why is Laurie holding back?
I'm not sure. She hasn't been on here that many times, have you?
Can you do it, Laurie?
Oh, look, I guess
Can you come and join us?
We haven't tried it out with too many adults, Peter. This could test it.
You're a bit tentative too.
I can feel she's not that relaxed up here.
It's one of those things you've decided on because it feels good inside.
Yes, it's
It worked.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, it's unnecessary, but it's such a good piece.
This house balances sophistication with fun, especially for Olive and Huey, who are now king and queen of their very own realm. How much out of 10 would you give this house?
10 out of 100.
10 out of 100. That's not so good. 10 out of 10 would be better.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. And Olive, what about you?
10 out of 10.
They have a bedroom and ensuite each, and a rumpus room. Perfect for playing in. In fact, they might just never move out. What's your favourite part of the house, Huey?
The pool and our cabinet.
Your cabinet.
No, our cabinet. And
Oh, your cargo nets. Along with the carbo net, one of the other great curios of this house is the car stacker. It's an enormous investment for a residential property, but it has allowed them to pack in as much house as possible on this small block.
It's kind of bizarre being up here, so it really does feel like a stage, you know? I could feel a song and dance coming on up here.
Come on, let's see it.
No, just joking. So why no car?
The brickwork is still settling down.
So the brickwork on top?
Only went in 2 days ago, Peter.
How's it feel?
Yeah, go on, get
Do
me
you
out
wanna
of here.
come down?
Bring me down, this is ridiculous.
It's been a long 4 years for Laurie and Morgan. Thankfully, in the last 11 months, the house has rocketed along. Not something that happens too often. The overwhelming feeling is everything has been thought through and very carefully considered.
Has it been financially draining for you, having to manage wrangling all those decisions to get what you want? Has that been hard?
That's probably been the worst bit.
Oh, look, I think, yes, it has been hard. It's
The most stressful.
the budget was 1.6.
And where's it ended up, do you think?
1.7-ish.
Ish.
I think it will finish at 175.
Right.
150 over.
Yeah, which is what, 10% over your budget or thereabouts?
Which I think a lot of people said to us, that's probably going to be about the ballpark in terms of...
Overrun. That's
So-
not unusual, I have to say. That's what I'd advise my clients to budget for. So Laurie's been the project manager. You can tell me truthfully, has she done a good job?
No, absolutely. I think part of the reason why the build went so smoothly and so quickly was the fact that the builders had a client who knew what they were doing.
When I look at the finished product here, and I go, this is beautiful.
Oh, look, I couldn't be any prouder. Full credit to her that she was able to pull it all together, to hold the family together and to deliver something that is special. No, she's a keeper.
Lucky, because if not, I'm keeping the house.
They wanted a house that could entertain kids and adults alike, a home that the family could grow into and a place that belongs in the neighbourhood. I think they've got exactly that.
You know, what I like most about this whole project is Laurie and Morgan's ambition. Despite some significant hurdles, they aimed high and only compromised where they had to. And now they're reaping the rewards of that tenacity. A biggish house on a small block, but also a home that stands out and fits in at the same time. A home that looks respectfully at the past, but also looks optimistically at the future.